A woman whose solitude is with God is a woman who has transcended the noise of the external world. She no longer seeks validation from the fleeting opinions of others. Instead, she rests in the quiet space of her own being, a space where the chatter of the ego fades away. In this solitude, she is not lonely, she is whole. This wholeness is not derived from anything external, no relationship, no accomplishment, no material possession. It is a deep recognition of her own inner essence. She is one with the present moment, with the eternal, with the divine. There is a profound stillness within her that is not disturbed by the chaos of life. This stillness is her strength. Her solitude is not an escape, but a return to the core of her true self. It is in this space of inner peace that she connects to the divine. It is here that she finds the courage to face the world, not from a place of insecurity, but from a place of deep understanding and inner knowing. She is aware that her worth is not defined by the roles she plays in the world, but by her connection to the infinite source of life. In this solitude, she experiences the fullness of her being, and that fullness radiates outward. The more she is with God in her solitude, the more she begins to embody qualities of grace, wisdom, and power. These qualities are not learned through effort but emerge naturally as she surrenders to the divine presence within her. In this stillness, she becomes free from the grasp of external approval, for she knows that true power comes from within. The world may not understand her solitude, but she no longer seeks its understanding. Her solitude is her refuge, her sanctuary, and it is in this sacred space that she becomes the queen of her own life. Her reign is not one of domination, but of inner authority and peace. A woman whose solitude is with God understands the power of presence. Presence is not something she forces or tries to achieve, it is something she allows. It is a state of being, not doing. In this state of presence, she is no longer identified with the past or the future. The weight of past regrets and future anxieties fades away, and she finds herself fully immersed in the now. The world around her may be chaotic, filled with distractions, but she remains anchored in the moment. This presence is not an act of willpower, but an effortless surrender to the unfolding of each moment as it is. In her solitude, she becomes aware of the sacredness of life itself. Every breath she takes, every thought she observes, every feeling she experiences, these are all part of the divine flow of existence. She no longer views life through the lens of judgment or expectation, but rather as a manifestation of the divine presence. In this awareness, she finds peace. There is no need to resist what is. There is no need to strive for something more. She simply is. And in that beingness, she is whole. This presence, cultivated in solitude with God, gives her an unparalleled clarity of mind. She sees the world not as it appears, but as it truly is. An interconnected web of life, constantly in flux. She no longer seeks to control or manipulate situations or people. Instead, she flows with life's current, trusting that everything is unfolding as it should. She knows that her strength does not lie in her ability to dominate or fix, but in her ability to accept and be present with whatever comes her way. In this presence, she becomes a beacon of calm and wisdom, radiating peace in a world that often feels lost in turmoil. A woman whose solitude is with God is a woman who has discovered the power of inner peace. This peace does not come from external circumstances or achievements, but from a deep inner stillness that exists beyond the fluctuations of life. It is not a peace that is won through struggle or effort. It is a peace that arises naturally when she surrenders to the present moment and embraces the fullness of her being. She has learned that peace is not something that can be grasped or held onto, but something that is already within her, waiting to be recognized. In her solitude with God, she becomes aware of the illusions that keep her from this peace, the need for approval, the desire for control, the attachment to outcomes. These illusions no longer hold power over her. She is no longer bound by the fear of what might happen or the regret of what has passed. Instead, she rests in the knowing that all is well, that everything is unfolding perfectly in the divine plan. This peace is not passive, it is a dynamic force. It flows through her, radiating outward, touching everyone and everything she encounters. She is not caught up in the drama or turbulence of life. Instead, she observes with a calm and centered awareness, seeing beyond the surface and recognizing the divine in all things. This inner peace is her foundation, and from it she draws her strength. It is in this peace that she finds the courage to face challenges, to stand in her truth, and to move through life with grace and dignity. It is in this peace that she becomes a beacon of light for others, guiding them back to their own center. A woman whose solitude is with God lives with a deep sense of self-awarenessness that transcends the limitations of the ego. She is not defined by the roles she plays or the identities that society projects onto her. Instead, she is rooted in the essence of her being, which is untouched by the shifting judgments or expectations of the world. She no longer seeks external validation because she has already discovered her inherent worth. In solitude with God, she understands that her true identity is not something that can be defined by external circumstances or accomplishments, but is an expression of the divine within her. This self-awareness is through her solitude she has cultivated a deep understanding of her inner world, her desires, her fears, and her strengths. She knows that her thoughts and emotions are temporary, not her true nature. By embracing the present moment and acknowledging her deeper essence, she can observe these thoughts and feelings without being consumed by them. In this state of self-awareness, she becomes free from the constant need to prove herself or seek approval. There is no more striving to be something she is not, no more hiding or masking her true self. She stands in her authenticity, grounded in the truth of who she is. This self-awareness also brings with it a deep sense of compassion for others, for she knows that everyone is on their own journey of self-discovery. She recognizes the divine spark in all beings, and it is from this place of inner knowing that she interacts with the world gently, patiently, and with an open heart. A woman whose solitude is with God experiences an unshakable sense of inner freedom. This freedom is not dependent on external circumstances or the approval of others. It is not the kind of freedom that comes from breaking rules or escaping constraints, but rather the freedom that arises when one is no longer bound by the limitations of the ego. She is free from the need to constantly prove herself, to chase external goals, or to conform to the expectations of society. She has stepped out of the mental prison that keeps so many trapped in cycles of striving and comparison. In her solitude, she finds the courage to live according to her own truth, independent of external pressures. This freedom is grounded in her understanding of the impermanence of life. She knows that nothing in the material world can offer lasting fulfillment. She no longer seeks happiness or validation in possessions, titles, or relationships, for she understands that these are fleeting and temporary. Instead, her sense of freedom arises from her connection to the divine, to the eternal presence that lies at the heart of all existence. In this deep connection, she experiences the fullness of life as it is, without the need to control, manipulate, or escape from it. Her freedom lies in her ability to surrender to what is, to accept the flow of life as it unfolds, knowing that all is unfolding perfectly according to the divine plan, that this inner freedom creates a sense of peace that is unshakable by the external world. She does not feel the need to resist challenges or difficulties, for she knows that they are a natural part of the journey. She accepts them with grace and sees them as opportunities for growth. Her freedom lies not in the absence of obstacles, but in her ability to remain centered and aligned with her true essence, no matter what arises. A woman whose solitude is with God walks through the world with a quiet power, a regal strength that comes not from dominance or force, but from her deep connection to the divine. This power is subtle but unmistakable. It does not need to shout or assert itself, because it emanates naturally from her being. She carries within her the wisdom of the ages, the knowledge that true power comes from surrender, from acceptance, and from an unwavering trust in the flow of life. Her strength lies not in her ability to control, but in her ability to allow life to unfold as it will, allow herself to be exactly as she is, and allow others the freedom to be as they are. This inner power is anchored in her solitude, where she has cultivated a deep sense of inner peace and alignment with her true self. She is not swayed by external circumstances or the opinions of others. Her strength does not come from proving anything to anyone, for she already knows her worth. In solitude with God, she has learned to be comfortable in her own company, to find joy and fulfillment within herself rather than seeking it from the outside world. Her presence is magnetic. It is not the kind of power that demands attention, but the kind that draws others to her without effort. People are naturally drawn to her peace, her wisdom, and her authenticity. She leads not by force but by example. Through her, others begin to see that true power comes from within, from living in alignment with one's deepest truths and embracing the divine presence in all things. Her reign is not one of control but one of quiet influence, where those around her are inspired to step into their own authentic power and align with the truth of their being. A woman whose solitude is with God embodies the essence of true power, peace, and wisdom. Her strength is not born from the external, but from an unwavering connection to her inner being, to the divine. In her solitude, she discovers her worth, embracing her authenticity with grace. Free from the confines of ego and external validation, she moves through life with clarity, acceptance, and unwavering trust. Her presence is magnetic, inspiring others to reconnect with their own inner truth. She does not seek dominion, but reigns quietly as a queen of her own soul, aligned with the divine.